Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what to do. It's 8:30 p.m. here on the East Coast, and we got one of the best individuals within the music industry, within the hip-hop game. We got none other than Mayjor. How you doing this evening?
What's poppin', man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. I hope you're doing being safe out there during this terrible pandemic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Still
I gotta
getting
ask
money
you.
though, yeah.
Hey, that's what's up, man. But I gotta ask you, man. Like, what made you decide to get into the music industry?
Uh, it was kind of like on some. I say it was an accident, bro. Like before I was doing music, I was like just sports. It was I was a basketball head. I'm gonna keep a long story short. Shit went bad with me and my ex. I moved back to New Orleans from Texas, and my people was doing music. So he was like, "You should try." I tried it, and then I fell in love with it, and I took it and I ran with it. Now we here.
So when you said you were a basketball head, like, if you don't mind me asking, like, who influenced you to actually play basketball?
Man, I'm a big Kobe fan. Rest in peace, Kobe. Man.
Hey, man, you can't
Kobe.
go wrong with Kobe
My
Bryant,
reason
man.
for that is his work ethic. Like his work ethic made me. It influenced me to go harder.
And a lot of individuals actually totally forget about the fact that Kobe was actually a hip hop artist as well. I know he came out with one record. I don't know if he came out with any more than just one, but I remember he actually did a song with Tyra Banks.
Damn, I never knew that.
Yeah, if you look it up on YouTube, man, he was actually a rapper there for a little bit.
Oh man, I gotta go check that out.
And you are also the owner and CEO of Villain Empire Entertainment. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that company? And, of course, like, what services do you guys offer to the general public?
I mean, I basically got it's like right now it's a movement. I got my own studio on the north side of Houston, so we offer all the basic things, recording. I got my own cameraman. We offer management as well. Shout out to my management, GAG1 Management. But Villain Empire is basically that title is influenced on how I came up. What villains do? They do what they do in the streets and they get it done. That's where Villain Empire came from.
And the one thing I do gotta ask you, like, are you the only individual signed to that particular record label, or like do you have other people signed as well?
Nah, I have an artist under me named T Flame. He's from New Orleans as well, but he's in Houston now too.
And also, I saw on your
Yeah, right now.
I was gonna say I also saw on your Facebook where you were actually featured in Dream Chaser magazine. I have to ask you, what was that experience like? And of course, like, how does it feel just being like, featured in a magazine?
I mean, shit, as for any artist, that's my first time, so I was very excited. Shout out Dream Chasers, man. They reached out to me, and I didn't really think it was my beat, because there's a lot of scams and stuff online, but it turned out to be something honest, and I'm gonna always rock with them.
And especially with magazines, like, especially within the hip hop industry, magazines are very scarce nowadays, because everything's now in a digital world, so a lot of magazines really went under.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is all online.
Like, you could, don't get me wrong, you can read magazines in a digital format, but it's not the same, man, than actually holding the magazine in your hand.
Yeah, I feel like it means more holding a physical copy of a magazine. That's just me though.
Yeah, especially if you're like on the cover, that way you can put it in a frame, you can frame it, but what are you really gonna do? Frame your cell phone? Like, there's not really much you can do with that.
And nowadays anybody could be on the internet, so I think the physical copies, to me, they still mean a lot.
I most definitely agree, man. I really do most definitely agree. And one of the songs that really actually drew me to your music was a single that you released in the year 2018 called Words Unsaid. I have to ask you, what's the inspiration behind that single? And is it still available on the internet for individuals to purchase today?
Words Unsaid. You're the first person to ask me about that song. Yeah, that was it's still you're still able to purchase it. It's not on every platform because I had took it off from most platforms, but it's still on iTunes and Google Play Store. And I believe it's still on YouTube. but it might be under Michael Mayjor. That's what I was for, Mike Mayjor.
And if you don't mind me asking, like, I know it's very similar, but what made you change your name from Michael Mayjor to Mike Mayjor?
It was just, it just sounded more catchy. I feel like Michael Mayjor sounded like an R&B artist, and Mike Mayjor just sounds more me. I'm more edgy. And turn it like, I feel like Mike Mayjor sounds better. It's more catchy. What you think?
I agree with that, you know, because I hear Michael Mayjor, it does sound R&B, you know what I mean? Kind of like, because there's, in 112,
Yeah.
there's actually an individual named Michael, right? So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, I see where you're coming from, man. I think Mike Mayjor is actually catchy.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It got a little bit more sauce to it.
And also, you know, as we already know, you're managed by an individual named Psycho, which was a tour manager and within the music industry and whatnot. I have to ask you, excuse me, how did you actually get connected with Psycho? Like, what's the story behind that?
Man, it's crazy. It was Instagram. I mean, it was like perfect timing because I had just got out of a bad management deal it was like when I first came, you know, when I first started taking music serious. I didn't really know no better. So he came along. He messaged me. I guess he was seeing. I don't remember if he noticed what was going on, how he even found me. But he messaged me on Instagram, asking me if I had management or whatever. And then I told him no, I had just got out of a bad contract or whatever. We just went from there.
And obviously, I've spoken with him quite a few times as well. He's a phenomenal individual.
Oh, yeah.
And also, in 2019, so just last year, you actually dropped the song Seeing Colors. I have to ask you, can you tell us a bit more about that single? And of course, man, like, where is it still available on the internet for individuals to purchase?
Yeah, actually, that song, I was heavy. I was heavy in the streets. I was doing a whole bunch of things. That's the kind of where that song came from. That song is still available on all platforms. I never really got a chance to actually like promote it like I wanted to because that's around the time I was in that bad management. But we're actually going to revamp that song, and I'm actually in the middle of shooting a video for that song.
And also, earlier this year, you actually released the Villain Gang mixtape featuring T-Flame. I have to ask you, how did you and T-Flame get connected, and what was it like working on that project with him?
I mean, me and T-Flame, I met him in a strip club. I was doing a performance. In a strip club, and he had a performance too. And he was from New Orleans, and I was from New Orleans. So it's like every time two people from New Orleans meet, they feel like they gotta stick together. So I was just gonna take them under my wing, and we was just gonna rock out together.
Hey man, you know what? And that's some of the best ways to actually meet individuals as well. You know, I had a lot of talent actually on the station before, and they said the same thing. They just met a lot of their collaborations at shows. Man, it's a great way to link up, but it's also a great way to make a stack of bread too.
Yeah, for sure. That's the best way.
And I have to ask you, is that like a mixtape? Is that still available like on the internet? Like, is it on DatPiff or something like that?
That mixtape, it's on my mixtape. It's only on my mixtape.
So everybody that has my mixtapes, or if you don't got my mixtapes, head on over there, grab that, you know, support him, download it, give it a listen, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And also on March 16th, sorry about that, Major.
You go ahead.
I was just gonna say on March 16th at midnight, you actually released the song Ramble Ramble. I have to ask you, is that actually like is that like related to like, you know, the Rambo movies? Is that kind of where you got the inspiration for that? And of course, man, where can our listeners buy themselves that single?
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, I feel like when I recorded the song, that's how I felt. I felt like Rambo in the studio. That's just where the name came from. And it's kind of. I feel like that song is like. It's like. I don't know. It's like action packed to me. Like I feel like when we shoot the video, it's going like I'll be the show. When I mean it. Like, cause I was gonna put a few like a little skits in there with the Rambo skits here and there throughout the video and make it so I can get the listeners a visual of what I'm actually talking about.
And also, I recently checked out this video about a couple hours actually before we hopped on this interview. But on January 11th, you released a video for Out of My Body, which I have to say, man, is one of the most inspirational songs I have ever heard in my entire life, man. I have to ask you, can you tell our listeners a story behind that track? Because that track's phenomenal.
Hey, that track was like, that's one of the realest tracks I ever made. Or like, at that time, I was going through that management thing, like, and then my homie had just got killed in the broad daylight, and he was he was the reason I was making money at the time. And then he died, and then I was still going through that management stuff. Then I had crashed my car and all other type of shit was going on. I was like, fuck it, I'ma just have to be out my body, and I just started doing. I was just whatever I had to do to get back to how I was. I did it. I was in the street doing what I had to do, and that's how I felt out my body. Yeah. Like that whole song tells the story of all that whole situation. That's one of the realest tracks I ever made.
And I have to ask you, Mike, like, what is next for you? Is there anything I happen to miss? Anything you want to promote? Will we still have you here live on the radio?
Oh yeah, I got an EP coming August 21st. It's called Serious, and Serious means the brightest star in the sky. I got that coming. I got the Seeing Colors video coming. We about to revamp the song. Then I got Ramble video coming, and then I got a couple features. And I got a couple tracks with a couple big name producers too that I'm going to be releasing. I'm going to work on them songs while we in the middle of doing the campaign for the EP.
So, Mike, this is the time of the interview that I give a chance for the individual that actually comes on the station. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And if you can, drop them social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and your up-and-coming projects if they're not already doing so.
Oh, yeah. My Instagram, you can follow me at Mike Mayjor, MikeMaykor. Make sure you add the Y before the J. And everything else is the same, Mike Mayjor. Make sure you add the Y before the J.
And I want to say, Mike, just thank you again for coming on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM, man. It was not...
Appreciate you for having me, bro. This is one of the best interviews I ever had, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I do got to say again, thank you so much, man. I've really been taking a liking to your music. Your manager, Psycho, put me on game, and when he showed me a couple of your singles, I got blew away, man. I was like, yo, let's book them. let's make it happen. So, man, thank you for taking some time out of your evening, man. And I hope you stay safe out there, and I hope down the road we can make this happen sometime again.
Oh, for sure. For sure, bro. Appreciate you for having me.
You're most certainly welcome, man. Have yourself a wonderful night.
All right.